Hey, everybody, Adam Davidson, RadCast for Wednesday, April 26, 2023. Listen to these words from the Gospel of John, chapter 6. They were looking for Jesus everywhere. They said, "Oh, Rabbi, there you are." And then in verse 26, Jesus says, "Very truly, I tell you, you are looking for me, not because you saw the signs I performed, but because you ate your loaves and had your fill." Real quick, it wasn't long before this happened that he had the miraculous feeding of the 5,000, the loaves and the fishes, a little bit of bread, a little bit of fish, all of a sudden thousands of people eat. It was a miracle. He said, "Do not work for food that spoils, but for food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. For on him the Father has placed his seal of approval." Interestingly, Jesus said, "You weren't even looking for me to see the miracle. You were looking for me because you're hungry for bread, temporary bread at that." And they said, "Wait a second." They said, "What is this that we have to do, this work that God requires?" And then Jesus answered, "The work of God is this, to believe in the one he has sent." Have you ever thought about that? That there's actually an element of work to our faith. And it's not that we work our way into heaven, but that the act of belief is actually something that we have to put ourselves to. Sometimes we just let belief happen based on whether it's a good experience and whether it feels good and whether it's sunny out. And then a rainy day comes and our faith just kind of falls apart. There's work to it. There's effort to it. There's, choosing a certain mindset and saying, "I believe that God is faithful because he's been faithful here and here, so shall he be here." It's the same thing we do with our kids. It's like, every once in a while, Cam will say to me, "Daddy, are you going to, when you put me to sleep, you're going to lay down with me for a minute? Remember, Daddy, stay there with me for a few minutes while I fall asleep," as if I would forget. I do this every single night of his life. Or we'll go to McDonald's and he'll say, "Daddy, do you remember what I want?" And I'm like, "Bro, you get the same meal every time. Chicken nuggets, French fries, Sprite. Chicken nuggets, French fries, Sprite." It's like a spell around this house. You hear it all the time, but he wants to remind us. And Jesus is saying the same thing to us. Like, there's work to this belief, but that we have to learn over time that he can be trusted. And that does take some effort on our part. I wonder if Jesus says to me, "Adam, why are you asking me to do something I'm already going to do?" And then finally, it's still in John 6, Jesus reminds us, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." And that's the word of the Lord. Ultimately, it's about what Jesus has done. This bread of life, this bread of resurrection life, that's a beautiful thing that we have for us as followers of Jesus. It's the very center of our lives. Yesterday, I was out to lunch. Me and Brittany and Cam were out to lunch with my sister and brother and their son, and we ordered. It was half off apps at this restaurant we were at, so we ordered nothing but apps for our meals. Ooh, that was a great way to go. And they bring out these pita chips and like spinach artichoke dip. And those pita chips were so good. They were light and airy and fluffy. And you eat one, you're like, "So this is delicious." 2, 3, your pupils are dilating. You're, like planning your retirement life is so good. And then you eat all this other stuff, the mozzarella sticks and the fries and the chicken things and this and that and the quesadillas and everything. There's plates left and crumbs and little piles of food here and there. And you're like disgusted by food. You're like, "I never want to eat again." Then a few hours later, we're driving home. "Oh man, I'm so hungry. Where's those leftover quesadillas?" We get so motivated by temporary food. Jesus is telling us here, and then I'm reminding you, my dear RadCast pals, that there is effort for us to look for the food that will last. It's Jesus. He is the bread of life. So take time to, just as you go after food, go after Jesus, his presence, his feeding, his filling, his truth, and make it a mental practice to apply this truth to your lives. Way better than pita chips, although what we had yesterday was pretty good. That's RadCast.